Before we start, let me give you a few words. Resume, restaurant, croissant, fiancé, déjà vu. Does that ring a bell? Well, guess what? You already speak French. 30% of the vocabulary in English language does come from French, so that will be easy for you. Now, let's work on the rest of the 70% together. So let's go. Let's get started. Today, we're going to work on the basic of the French language. So we're going to learn how to greet people and the alphabet and how to pronounce all those different letters. The way you greet people in French will depend on the time of the day. So let me do a little drawing to explain that. First, a day will be called une journée or un jour. You can use one or the other. And so to greet, you can always use bonjour, which you probably already know. Bonjour. Okay, so now the different times of the day. There will be the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and the night. So let's do our little drawing. Okay, so the morning is le matin. And then lunchtime is le midi. And then we go to the afternoon, that's l'après-midi. 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 So just as in English, afternoon, this is noon, l'après-midi. And the last part is the evening, le soir. Le soir. Okay, le soir. And same thing with a day. You can either say une journée ou un jour. In the evening, you can either say le soir or une soirée. So the greetings will be either bonjour or bon après-midi or bonsoir. And then when it's time to go to bed, we would say bonne nuit. Bonsoir or bonne nuit. Voilà. And so what would come after would be to ask someone how they are today. And this will be done with two words, ça va. And then the way you're saying ça va, the pronunciation and the intonation is very important because either you say ça va, and then this is the question, or you say ça va, then this is the answer. Could you hear that I went up on the first sentence and I went down on the second sentence? Let me do it again. Bonjour, ça va? Ça va. Okay? Now, depending on how you feel, you can use different way to answer this question. So if you feel good, you'll just say ça va ou ça va bien. If you don't feel so good, then you'll just say ça va, bof. And if you really are not feeling good, then you will say ça va pas trop mal, ça va mal. Okay? Ça va mal if you're not feeling good. So, when you're greeting someone, you will say bonjour, ça va? And then the answer will be ça va bien. D'accord? Alors, on y va. Maintenant, on va travailler sur l'alphabet. So now we're going to work on the letters of the alphabet together. So let me erase our board and we can start working on the different letters. And some letters are tricky and I will help you through that. Ok, alors, écoutez, puis répétez. Écoutez, puis répétez. I'm going to say all the letters of the alphabet and I want you to repeat. Répétez. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Répétez. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay? So let's come back on just one letter. This one that we called the I, the Greek I, Y. And then let's also work on a few letters that are usually hard for English speakers. So we will start with the vowel. And the first vowels that are a little hard for English speakers would be the E. And you really need to have your tongue at the back of your mouth. E. So let's try that. Let's do I, E. I, E. When you do that, you should feel your tongue go at the back of your mouth. I, E. Okay? The other letter that is a little difficult is the U sound. And simply because this letter does not exist in the English language and your vocal cords are not formed to make this sound. So let's try with me. U. Again. U. Let me give you a little trick for this letter. You're going to try to do the O sound and put your mouth as a little round. O. Now you're going to try to say the sound E with your mouth like that. Look at me. U. U. When you try that, the sound that will come out should be that famous U. Okay? Let's try again. Put your mouth as a O and then try to say the sound E. U. Okay? So, all the vowels in French are A, E, I, O, U. Okay, so the G letter, and we're going to talk about the pronunciation of that letter. When the G is followed by a hard vowel, which is either A, U, or O, it will then be pronounced G, like garçon. G, like garçon. If the G is followed by a soft vowel, which will be R-I, E, or the Y, then the pronunciation will be je, like image. Okay? Now, if we need to pronounce this letter as if we had a soft vowel, we would just add a soft vowel, like in this word, mangeons. You see, the letter after the G is a O, but we added an extra I to indicate that it needs to be pronounced je. Mangeons. Okay? And it works the same with the C letter. If the C letter is followed by a hard vowel, which is A, O, U, it will be pronounced K, like carotte. And if it's followed by a soft vowel, like E, I, or Y, it will be pronounced S, like souci. Okay? Now, we have that weird letter in French, and I need to explain this letter. This letter is called the C. You see, it looks like a C and it has a little something under the C. That is to indicate that we still need to pronounce this letter as S. For example, the C will be in front of a hard vowel, but it has that little sign. And so you know you need to pronounce it S. For example, if I have the word France, I will pronounce it France because it's followed by a soft vowel. And in Français, I will also pronounce it as a S because it has that little sign. So remember, this is called the C-C-D and it's pronounced S instead of K. D'accord? Alors, on continue. The other little difference in English and in French will be our little accent. And that also, you need to know what they mean. When you see this little accent, this is l'accent aigu, and it is pronounced E. When you see this accent, this is l'accent grave, and it is pronounced E. Like in my name, it's actually a very good example. You have both sounds, E, E. Hélène. Répétez. E, E. Hélène. D'accord? Now, the other accents that you're going to see is l'accent circumflex, comme ceci. And that comes from Old French. And it usually means that we have taken off a letter from the Old French word. For example, in this word that used to be forêt, the way it is spelled in English, forest, we took off the S and we've added this little accent. And so we know we need to pronounce this letter E. Forêt. D'accord? You will see other accents, and they most of the times are signs of Old French, of letters that we have taken off. And it won't change the pronunciation, except for that E and accent circumflex, where it makes the E sound. In other words, it will not change the pronunciation. Just know that it is a trace of an Old French, or sometimes we need to add an accent to differentiate from another word that would just sounds the same. Voila, so we've talked about the different letters in French, we've talked about the accent, we've talked about the CCD, we've talked about the pronunciation of the G letter and the C letter. So now you should be good to pronounce most of the word in French, and we will come back during our different episodes on pronunciation, of course. Now, let me talk about a few rules of pronunciation. So first is with our H letter. In French, you do not pronounce the H letter. For example, in that word, habiter, you can't hear the H. Habiter, habit. D'accord? So just as a general rule, you do not pronounce the H letter. Now, we have another rule, which is the liaison. And that's not a love affair. That's actually a grammatical rules. So, when a word ends with a consonant and the words after that start with a vowel, we linked those two words as if they were just one word. Here is an example. Vous allez bien, si vous ends with a S, and then aller starts with a vowel A. So we will link this S and this A as if vous allez was just one word. Let's try with me. Vous allez bien? Très bien, très bien. Alors, we also need to talk about the E and the last letter of the words, which mostly we do not pronounce. Usually when it's a E, we do not pronounce it. And there's other letter that we will not pronounce. So here is a few examples. Je suis, the S at the end is not pronounced. Nous aimons, the S at the end is not pronounced. Ils aiment, the ENT at the end is not pronounced. So you'll get used to it and you will see those words many times. So you will get used to not pronounce the end of those words. So just be very careful when I say something. You can easily see that the last letter is not pronounced. Voila. So now we are good with the letters and we're going to start talking about the pronoun and mostly the tu and the vous pronoun. So, je, that's the pronoun for myself. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, So you see this little S that we add here is not pronounced. So if you hear it, it will sound like the singular. Il, elle. Also another rule, il is the masculine, elle is the feminine. Just know that in a group of people, let's say we have 4 ladies and 1 male, you will still need to use the masculine form il. So il, masculine, elle, feminine. If there's a group of ladies with just 1 man, that's all it takes to make it masculine and use the il pronoun.
En Français will return in just a moment.
Okay, now I want to concentrate on the tu and the vous pronoun. This is a little different than in the English language. In French, whether you speak to your friend or a family member or your boss, you will use a different pronoun. And this is what we called the formal and the informal. So, you use the pronoun tu when you are in an informal setting. So let's say you're talking with your friends, you're talking with a family member, you're talking with someone you think is about your age, or you're talking with someone that said it's okay to use the tu form with me. And so the verb for this use of the tu form will be tutoyer. Tutoyer. That means you're using the tu pronoun. Now, if you're talking to your boss, if you're talking to someone who's older than you, if you're talking to someone you've never met before, then you will need to use the formal form, and you will use that pronoun vous. And the verb for that is vous voyez. Okay, tutoyer and vous voyez. So let me give you a quick example. When my husband came in our family and was introduced to my dad and my mom, he started using the vous pronoun because he had never met them before, and so he was being polite and using the vous pronoun. And after a few weeks and several meetings, both my parents told him, well, that's okay, we can use the tu pronoun. So they will encourage you to use the tu pronoun. They say, it's okay, on peut se tutoyer maintenant. Now you know it's okay, you know each other, and you can use the tu pronoun. If you meet someone for the first time and you're not too sure, just as a rule, use the formal form and you will be safe. Okay? So now you know that whether you are at work or you meet someone for the first time, you need to use the formal form. And if it's a friend, a family member, someone you know really well, or someone you think is younger than you, you can use the tu and the informal way. Now, the way you will greet people will also change. So, you can use bonjour with anyone. But for example, salut, which is another way of greeting people, you can only use that in an informal setting, so with your friend or with someone you know, okay? Now, if you're in a formal settings, you will need to use monsieur or you will need to use madame to address this person. For example, bonjour madame, vous allez bien? Okay, that's very formal. Let's do the same in an informal settings. Salut, ça va? Could you see the difference? Another thing about French culture is that when we greet people and it's in a formal setting, we will shake hands. On va se serrer la main. We will shake hands, se serrer la main. Now, if you're meeting a friend and you're in informal settings, on va faire la bise, which means kissing on each cheeks. And depending on the area of France where you live, it will be a different numbers of kisses. For example, where I come from, you will kiss on each cheek. So you will say, bonjour. I know, it looks a little weird, but that's how we do it. Okay? And sometimes in the south of France, they will kiss twice on each cheek. And in different countries like Belgium or Switzerland, they will kiss 3 times. So usually, the number of times the person kisses you tells you where they come from. Voila, so that's a little note about how you greet people and how you do it with the gesture. Okay, good. So now we're going to see the basic numbers in French. So bear with me while I erase this board. And the basic numbers in French, I'm sure you've already heard 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go up to 10. Alors, écoutez et répétez après moi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. OK? Encore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Encore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the very beginning. At our next episode, we can look into getting to bigger numbers. But for today, we'll stick to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. D'accord? Okay. So now that you've learned how to greet people and you've learned about the formal and informal settings, we're going to look at 4 little dialogues. And I want you to, in each dialogue, be very careful at what you hear and try and work out whether you are in a formal or informal settings and try and get the words that we've learned together. And something that I want to talk about is when you're learning a language, you should not worry about understanding every single word because you will just waste time if you do that. It takes too long, so try not to translate everything. What I want you to do in this exercise is really concentrate and try and pick the word we've learned today, and I'll repeat a few of those, and just try and get whether the context is formal or informal. That's all I want you to do today. Okay, so let's just repeat a few words, and then I will let you watch the dialogue. Bonjour, bonsoir, bon après-midi, bonne soirée, bonne nuit, salut. Those are the different ways of greeting someone. And then when you're asking how they feel, ça va? Comment ça va? Vous allez bien? Ça va? Ça va bien. Bof, pas mal. Ça va mal. Okay? All right, I'll let you watch and I come back and we can correct together.
Salut Louis, c'est Darius. Ça va? Tu fais quoi aujourd'hui? Bon, appelle-moi. À plus.
Salut Julie. Ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Désolée, je suis pressée, je suis en retard pour un rendez-vous.
Ah, pas de problème. Salut alors.
Salut.
Bonjour. Madame Pelletier. Entrez, asseyez-vous, je vous en prie. Merci.
Bonjour madame, j'ai rendez-vous avec monsieur Tabarot.
Bonjour. Et vous êtes?
Monsieur Dupuis, Armand Dupuis.
Dupuis.
D-U-P-U-I-T.
Ah oui, monsieur Dupuis, à 10h30. Attendez ici, je vous en prie.
Merci beaucoup.
So, how was that? Easy, I hope. Okay, so the first 2 dialogues were in the informal settings, and the last 2 dialogues were in the formal settings. Did you get that right? Excellent. Okay, so at the end of each episode, I will spend a few minutes on cultural notes, and I will talk about either an area of France that I know well, or that is famous around the world, or another Francophone countries. Do not forget that French is spoken by 200 million people around the world, so there's a lot other country than France that actually speaks French. So today, we're gonna speak about the Loire Valley, which is la Vallée de la Loire, which is the area I'm from and is located in the center of France. The Loire Valley is very well known for its garden. It's actually called the Garden of France. It's also well known for its vineyards. And we have some of the very famous wine like Pouilly Fumé or Sancerre or Muscadet. I hope you got to taste those wines because they're pretty good. And we're also very well known for our castles. And all along the Loire River, you will see thousands of castles. Some of them are most well known than others. But actually, I do live in a castle in France. So my family occupies the farm part of an old castle. This house is about 500 years old, and it is quite common in my area to live in a house that is that old. And so it really looks like a castle. And another family live in that other part of this castle. They're actually my great-great-great cousin. Okay, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the class, and we'll still have a lot to learn during the other episodes, so I will see you next week. À la semaine prochaine. Au revoir.